Hello, Cousin Johnny here. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the Buzzin' with Cousins show. We thank you. Thank you, that garlic stuff. If you like garlic, you're going to love it. Put it on just about anything. That garlic stuff. Tuesday, Alvarado Farmers Market, or go to thatgarlicstuff.com. Thank you. Thank you, I Heart You Candles. Beautiful hand-poured candles. These make special gifts. They're fantastic. Call Sherry at 574-9446 or go down and say hello right there on that walkway right in front of Fisherman's Wharf. Thank you, Sherry. I Heart You Candles. Thank you. Thank you, Max Fit Meals, 520 Fremont Street. Grab and go healthy meals. They're delish. On your way from home from work, go grab some, heat them up, and fantastic. Thank you, Suds Cyber Laundry, 709 Lighthouse, Pacific Grove. Great modern machines, big screen TV, coffee, and a great friendly staff. Thank you, Suds. Thank you, the Whiskey Club, 425 Alvarado Street. Over 600 whiskeys to choose from. Go on in, relax, enjoy a nice whiskey. They also have a bottle shop. It's great. Great place to relax and enjoy. Tell them Cousin sent you. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, storyteller, author, and all-around good guy, Tony Albano. Tony has written 3 books, the latest being Cherish, about a New York teenager and a nun find love. Thank you, Tony. And if you want to order the book or find out more about Tony, go to Tony, Tony, Albano, Albano, storyteller.com. Check it out. Thank you. Thank you, sponsors, for the Buzzin' with Cousins show. We thank you. The General Pershing. Hello, Cousin Johnny here. How's everybody doing? I'm at Monterey Harbor on a historical retired fishing boat named the General Pershing. I'm here with one of the co-owners. It's Mark Siino, and his brother is Andy Siino. So, Mark, how you doing today?
Hey, Cousin Johnny, I'm doing great. Thanks for having us.
Wow, thanks for, inviting me on this historical boat. Now, I grew up, Mark, in Monterey, Spaghetti Hill, and over the years, when the name Siino comes up, that's the premier boat builder of Monterey, Siino, and that's your family. And Angelo Siino was your grandfather.
Correct.
And they built boats in Monterey, and they built this one right here.
Yes, they did. It was built by Angelo, my grandfather, his 2 brothers, Gaetano and Francesco, and actually my great-grandfather, Erasmo, actually had a hand in building this boat, as well as my Uncle Ray, when he was a young kid, came down as it's the only family-built boat still afloat that I know of here that was built in Monterey, and it was built for Nino DiMaggio, started in the late 20s and finished by 1930 for the sardine industry here in Monterey.
Okay, now what's give me a little history of where your family, where they come from, what part of Sicily?
Well, they're down at the boot Isola dei Femmine, where a lot of the Monterey and San Francisco families come from this one fishing village, as well as other surrounding villages. But they came from Isola, and my grandfather sent his eldest son Gaetano ahead, and then they brought the rest of the boys to the East Bay in San Francisco and Pittsburgh and Antioch area.
I think what they call that Black Diamond or something.
They did call it Black Diamond before it was Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And a lot of Italians and Sicilians came to that area. Many became farmers and big grapes in Northern California, and the rest were fishermen, and a few of them boat builders.
So your family, they built quite a few boats on the Monterey fishing.
Yeah, they started out in Black Diamond, and they built the Felucca, which is the two-man oar sailboat that's very popular in the Mediterranean for thousands of years. And they built a lot of those boats when they first came to the San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Antioch area. And then as the smaller boat engines were developed and put into boats, the boats got bigger and so on. My grandfather picked up a lot of his craft and trade there in that area, and then splintered away from the family and set up in Monterey independently until he needed the help for this much larger boat that was commissioned by his cousin Siino DiMaggio after he came back to Monterey in World War I.
Okay. Now, you said the Felucca, the boat. Now, for all your listeners out there, you've been to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, you'll look up and you'll see a Felucca, and that was built by the Siino family.
It was built by my father, Frank Siino.
Wow, that is really great. You know, I was worked at the aquarium for like 10 years, and every time I'd walk out at the end of the shift, I would just look up. You know what I mean? It was just, it's beautiful. That's really great. Now this, the General Pershing was built in 1930, you were saying?
She was finished in 1930. There's a little debate as to when she actually was commissioned and hit the water, but we know for sure by 1930 she was in the water and fishing sardines here in Monterey.
Oh man, wow, I could just see it loaded with sardines. And now, what other fisheries do you think that this boat did in his career?
Most all of them on the West Coast. Having been hit the water in 1930, she was decommissioned as a fishing boat in 2003, but did all of it from mid-water trawling to dragging to crab fishing, certainly the sardines, most anything. This size boat is a very utility-oriented boat. The size could handle all the fisheries, all the different types.
Yeah, I mean, I'm walking around this boat, and we're going to get some video on it a little later. Well, let me tell you something. It's rock solid. It really is. Now, how did they get the name General Pershing?
Well, again, it was commissioned by Siino DiMaggio, who had fought under General Pershing in World War I in France. And Siino, as we're finding out, a lot of history comes in almost daily. But he was quite the war hero. He was a standout soldier who fought under Pershing in France in a number of different campaigns. One of the things that we learned that in one of those campaigns, the Germans had wiped out the front lines, and Siino and his companion at the time were the only survivors, and they did that by pulling the fallen victims over the top as the Germans bayoneted bodies as they went ahead in that campaign. That night, the Persian counterattack pushed the front back, and they survived. One of the two, many that had perished in that. So Siino came home, and instead of naming his prize fishing boat the St. Teresa or after a family member, he commemorated General.
For the General. He did it for the General.
Named the General.
Now, when I had a conversation with you a few days ago, you told me that this boat was in a movie?
Yeah. After fishing sardines in Monterey, she fished out of San Francisco, and a producer from MGM Productions in Hollywood came out and was looking for the most stable boat in the fleet to use as a camera boat for some sea epic movies that we planned to do. And everybody pointed to the General, which was an honor in itself, and the General was the camera boat for an Oscar-winning film called Captain's Courageous. We had Mickey Rooney, Lionel Barrymore, and I believe Spencer Tracy took an Oscar off that movie, and it's one of the classic 1930s sea epics.
So in that movie, is going to have the credits. Credit to General Pershing, probably in the. I think it did, yeah. So the years went by, and how did you end up with the boat?
Well, she fished out of San Francisco for a number of years, and then went up and fished even harder, deeper water out of the Humboldt Bar, Northern California. And there's the last commercial fisherman that had the boat, by the name of Frank Licata, needed another boat. And he went up to that area to purchase that boat. And that particular day, as he told me, I went into the coffee house, and all the skippers were sitting around the coffee house and not fishing. It was quite a bit of a blow out there. And he goes, so nobody's fishing today? They go, nobody's fishing today, Franco. It's too big of water out there.
Yeah.
So I just bought this fishing boat. I got to get it down to San Francisco. And then, Frank, nobody's going out today. You know, it's too dangerous. And he goes, well, I've got to go. I've got to do this. And Frank was an international fisherman all over South America, and he was quite a talented fisherman. And they said, so what boat did you buy, Frank? And he says, well, I bought the General Pershing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can take the General Pershing now.
Oh, yeah.
And so he brought the boat down, and he fished it as long as he could. It needed quite a bit of repair, and wood boats take a lot of maintenance.
Oh,
and,
yeah, that's a
he
lot
had a couple
of
of
maintenance.
fiberglass boats, and he didn't have the heart to maybe put it down, so to speak. So he called, I got in touch with my older brother, Andy, through his attorney, and said, you know, I represent Frank Licata, and he'd like to give you this boat, the General Pershing. And we weren't familiar with this boat because she had been fished in Northern California for so many years. So my brothers, Andy and Randy, and I went up to look at this boat. My brother, Andy, had two other Siino built boats at the time. The Siino, the Anthony Boy, which is a beautiful Monterey clipper-bowed boat.
I think I remember it, yeah.
I thought it was a little crazy to be thinking about taking on another boat. But we came up, we saw the General, we learned a little more of the history. It was in pretty good working condition, a big, fairly new 871 Detroit diesel. And learning a little bit of the history, we just couldn't say no. When, you know, but a word of caution to all your viewers, be careful when somebody offers you a wood fishing boat.
Yeah. I was thinking about that.
Yeah. And I thought it was pretty crazy, but, you know, that was 20 years ago. And we brought the boat down from San Francisco with Frank Licata and a number of people, and ahead of a good-sized storm, I'll have to say. The boat handled so well, we just couldn't say no, you know. And the history that I've learned since then about Nino DiMaggio and my grandfather and his two brothers, my great uncles, and the fact that it was a family-built boat. They were all considered master boat rights, wood boat rights. Back in the day when I'd go walk the harbor or the wharf with my father, Frank Siino, it was always a bit of a thrill when they say, hey, Franco, keep five pies on Maestro.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I said, damn, Maestro, man. I like to call
the master boat builder.
And well earned by those folks and others. And my dad always said, you know, we are the boat building family in this area.
Your guys are boat building family.
Quite a while. Yeah. But a lot of these Italian families built their own boats, and he always gave credit to those guys. There were some quality craftsmen in those days. And that's part of the lineage from the Italians and Sicilians. They did a little bit of everything, you know. They made their own wine, they grew their own tomatoes, they fished and built. Very, very interesting genealogy from that group.
So you got you and your brother and Andy. So you guys started working on it little by little. Is that how it did?
Yeah. I had another brother, Randy Siino, who unfortunately we lost about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And we took it on and maintained it and started to put our heart and soul into it. And thankfully, our cousin Janet Siino Martinez and her husband Ed came in to help found the historical aspect of it and the 501c3 we have wrapped around the boat. Now,
okay, so you're a nonprofit. You're a nonprofit. That's great.
Yeah, we are now a nonprofit due to the historical value, and we're starting an educational enterprise. We hope to finish our program and offer it as what we call the classroom on the bay. And this is all based under Monterey Boat Heritage, which is our 501c3, so that we can hopefully pass on this history of what our forefathers did to make a living and do their part in this
Keeping
country.
the Monterey history alive, and that's what you're doing, and that's really great. And I went to the arrival of the Western Flyer, and I saw the General Pershing, your boat, was escorting the Western Flyer. And that was a great day.
It was an honor.
And I was with my friend Rick Richards from Allen Friends, and he just yelled out, "Hey cousin, that's the General Pershing is coming." I go, "Wow, that looks great." Yeah. So I was going to ask you, what a feeling it is to be down. You're working on this boat, and you got your hands on the planks and other things that your grandfather touched and was working on. And how's that feeling?
Well, it went right to the heart, I'll have to say. I'd be working during the day when we had the boat out on the hard, at dry dock, as they say, and at night I'd be down here working, and I had to replace the bow stem, which is where all the planking comes together on the bow of this boat. Now, this boat had fished big, deep blue water from Mexico to Alaska for 80 years or more, and or about 80 years. And to take some of the woodwork off to replace it was somewhat daunting, I'll have to say. But when I opened it up and saw the craftsmanship, and then as I was doing so, I was learning the history of all that went in, that my whole family did all this. It went straight to the heart. I'll have to say it was an honor to be able. I mean, it's very fortunate to be in this position.
So, Mark, you're in the construction business, and so now you're a shipwright. Also, so, right? A shipwright.
Yeah.
That's what they call the guys that work on ships.
Yeah,
boats.
Yeah.
And you got to know all these weird angles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you know, as a home builder, a custom home builder, there's a lot of straight angles and arches and things, but when you get onto a boat, it's a whole different ball game. And I was offered at one time by my father to learn the trade, but unfortunately they never paid boatwrights what they pay carpenters. I really couldn't afford to learn the trade. It was a dying trade, but it was sad. And I said, "Geez, Dad, I feel terrible not being able to take you up on your offer." But he said, "Hey, you know what? It's in your blood. If you ever need to work on a boat, you're going to know."
You're going to know. Yeah,
and,
it's in your blood. You're going to know.
I think he was right.
You're going to look at it. You're going to back up. You're going to look at it again. And then you're going to go and you're going to do it.
Yeah,
because you've got it. You've got it in the blood.
We learned to steam, the different parts and pieces, the timbers, and how to bend, and it came to us, and we had some great volunteers. I'll have to say we had some great volunteers helping us, hundreds and hundreds of hours to do all this. So it wasn't by any means.
I've seen the boat when I had lunch here a couple times. We're here by the Coast Guard Pier. And I had lunch here, and I remember in that boatyard, I saw the General Pershing on dry dock.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a guy working on it. I think it might have been you. But yeah. It's beautiful to see it in the water when you see it out of the water. The size of the prop and all that. Oh man, I'm really impressed by it.
Yeah.
It really looks great.
Yeah,
it's got that round stern.
Yeah.
It's got a curved round stern.
Yeah.
So, Mark, tell us again about this beautiful thing that you're doing with education. So,
well, a number of people. So you've got this boat. She's been decommissioned as a fishing boat.
Okay.
And what are you going to do with this thing? And so
right.
We've got it in really good working condition, and very proud of the work and the people that have helped us put it together. And so we're trying to do something good with it, and we're putting together an educational program we call Classrooms on the Bay. And what I'd like to do is somewhat bring my grandfather back, so to speak.
Yeah.
And teach kids perhaps what it takes to put a boat like this together. Every single piece of wood and metal that it's got, it's all handmade, and you just don't see that anymore. And using that, as I've been taught by other school teachers, you really need to capture a class's attention in the first 5 minutes of anything you want to teach. So I'd like to use this as a piece of interest, a focal point for kids to come down to a floating dock perhaps, and maybe someday on the boat, but the floating dock is a classroom on the bay to teach them about wood craftsmanship and the the immigrants that came to this country that brought all their skills and crafts, and not just the Sicilians, but use my family as an example, that immigrated to the United States and brought their trades to it. You know, the Sicilians had a Mediterranean climate, of course, and they came to this Mediterranean climate, and they helped develop the fishing industry. The Norwegians, they went to Wisconsin, and where they went to Alaska to do their fishing. You know, it's very similar. And the Chinese and the Japanese and the Irish, they all came here with their skills, and the Sicilians were one of them. We happen to have a piece of history that we can show to that. And then also, I'd like to not only just what it took to build a boat with hand tools, but also the fact that this day and age, we really need to take care of this highly valued ocean that we haven't been doing a good enough job with, quite frankly. Yeah. And it surprises me that we have to remind people that we are in a state of affairs on this planet, and we really need to keep an eye on that. And I think kids need to know that and have an idea what it might take. If everybody pulls together, they can also lead a life that we were so fortunate to have.
You're going to have some future marine biologists.
Yeah, the value of clean water and taking care of the fish. And I know sustainability also for the fishermen. You know, it's a tight balance, and all the answers are there. We've sent 3 men to the moon in a tin can. We can take care of this planet.
Yeah, we could.
We have all the resources.
Right, that's really great, Mark. Yeah,
it can be done.
And I know that the Western Flyer is going to be doing a lot of education. And I'm hoping that maybe you guys could work in conjunction with these students. Yeah,
I was very fortunate in having Chris Chase, the builder of the Western Flyer, on board, and he was very impressed with this boat. And he says this boat is really a piece of Monterey.
It is.
It really. We'd like to throw it in with you. So it would be nice if we get our programs together and we could meld it together and do a joint.
When I came here to meet you today, I was looking and and then I saw this beautiful wooden boat with like a reddish orange trim, and it just looked classic. It just looked classic. Nothing flashy, just classic.
Yeah, good work.
I love it. I really love it.
Well, thank you, John.
And then, so Mark, I really appreciate you inviting me today to this historical boat. And I've heard so much about your grandfather and your family. Siino, they built the boat, Siino. Well, now here I am on a Siino boat
it's a pleasure
with the grandson. So I'm so happy that I'm here, and I'd like to thank you for inviting me here. I'd like to thank you for what you do here in the community and the future of the General Pershing. So, Mark, if anything else you want to say, I'm going to sign off.
No, we're good. We could go on forever, but I sure appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you so much, Cousin John.